Happy Thursday, y'all. Happy Thursday. It is Therapy Thursday. I am Dr. Triffy. Welcome to Transforming Trauma podcast with Dr. Triffy. Every Thursday, I show up here and I try to use psychology and to use spirituality sometimes to teach tips, to teach strategies, to teach secrets, really, to help us think better so we can feel better and do better. Look, y'all, tonight, I really want you to come in and share the live. Share the live so your friends get in on this. Why? Because you're going to need it. I need it. We need it. Tonight, we are rewiring our brains together for happiness. Collectively, we've been through the ringer. We have been through the ringer these past few years, and a lot of people are still in a lot of suffering. Each of us has our own story, and some of our suffering has been lifelong. I am convinced that you know at least one person who's probably forgotten how to be happy, and you might be that person. So, tonight I have a lovely guest with me. Her name is Karen, and she'll tell you more about herself as she comes on. We're going to be talking and sharing some secrets of becoming happy with you. So, here she is. Here she is. Here she is. Karen, welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay, Karen. I'm a teacher. So my first job was as a teacher to 41 students in a little Catholic school in Dominica. 4-1. And I learned to start on time. So so we are going to dive right in.
Sure.
I would love for you to introduce yourself to the people who listen to me. Tell them who you are, where you're from, what you do, and maybe a nice thing about you that you like about yourself, something that makes you happy.
Okay.
Yes.
Who I am, I grew up on the Navajo reservation, half Native American, although nobody would ever know it or believe it. So I grew up in a very diverse situation with a American Indian dad and a white mom who looks American Indian.
Mm.
I am now married, as my name shows, I'm married to a Patel.
Hmm.
And therefore, again, I'm pretty much the only white girl in the room. So that's where I'm at. So I always say I'm not that Karen.
You're not that Karen, yeah?
Not that Karen. I am not that Karen. And I'm also not going to be the one who's going to sing Kumbaya too. So
Yes.
I started off my career, believe it or not, my first job was not as glamorous as yours was. Mine, I made pizzas. So
Oh, well, I love me a pizza now.
my first job, grown up job, was I used to be a CEO of a company,
Hmm.
and we sold the company to Amazon when Amazon switched from just selling books for
Right.
school to stuff. And I earned my boss a good bit of money and was able
Yes.
to stay home for a little while. And I had a traumatic experience happen to me a few years later into it. My mother passed away unexpectedly. And
Mm.
I started thinking about what I was doing, and I didn't feel like I was honoring her memory. I
Hmm.
was trying to get through my own stuff. I was feeling sad every day and reminded of her every single day. And I did
Hmm.
not want to even remember her the day she died.
Mm.
If you ask me to this day, I will tell you that it's sometime in the first 2 weeks of November, but I just don't remember the day anymore because
Mhm.
I feel like that's negative and that's wrong. Um,
Mm.
so what I did is I started thinking differently. What could I do to honor her memory
Mhm.
that would put a positive spin on something that was negative? And she was super charitable, super charitable. She even her very last job before she passed away was to be a educator, and she
Mm.
educated small children. And she actually went back and got a second master's degree so she could be a teacher, and
Wow.
dedicated her life to children and to helping others. And so I decided I was going to be a nurse, and I did
Mhm.
that. And when I was in nursing school, I discovered psychology, and I discovered how the brain started working, and I'm fascinated by it. And
Yes.
all things brain. I'm a huge nerd, and I decided that I was going to start incorporating what I know and what I've learned as a grown woman
Mm-hmm.
and as a human being to help other people. And
Yes.
that's all she wrote. And I'm an LPC. I also have I'm not a fully licensed MFT, but I have every single class there is. And I was approved to do it, but I decided not to do that.
And an
Um,
MFT
yeah,
is
family therapist. So I took
marriage to
I
family
took every
therapy.
single course available to me that had anything to do with therapy or psychology. Every single
Yes.
course. Uh, and that resulted in 2 additional master's degrees. And I'm
Wow.
working on a fourth master's degree because I have an MBA also previously in forensic psychology. And
Wow.
I'm currently finishing up my doctorate in my PsyD in
Yes.
clinical psychology. So that's the goal, to be Dr. Patel.
That's right. Ooh, that's a lot. No, you said you're a nerd. Some people have a negative association with a nerd. When you say nerd, what do you mean by a nerd?
I love learning about everything. I want
That's
to
it.
know why. I want to
Yes.
know why. I want to know why people act the way they do. I want
Yes.
to know what triggers happened to you, why you did this now. Is it because
Hmm.
something happened to you in your past, which is usual? So
Yes. A lot of people think that psychology is about being crazy. Yeah. I
I
use the
think the
word,
crazy ones are the ones who don't go see somebody and get therapy.
I agree. I
Mhm.
agree. And maybe when we think about psychology too, maybe we think about the mental illness part.
Right.
There are many different aspects of psychology.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. So I think happiness, which is what we're talking about tonight, is one of those areas that perhaps we need to be talking more about.
I 100% agree. I mean, I was telling you earlier, I actually just finished a paper. I love research. Again, nerd. I'm okay with that.
Hmm.
But it
Hmm.
has actually been proven that the happier you are and the more joy you bring into your life, the longer you live. Um, you're able to, even if you have a terminal illness, something
Yeah.
that you actually can add years onto your life by just being a happier person. Loneliness and isolation
Hmm.
are the number one killer in America right now. People
I
don't realize
think people
that.
don't realize that,
No,
right?
100%.
Oh.
100%. And so imagine that. I got permission from, I work with a kid that, I say kid, he's in his 20s,
Hmm.
who's diagnosed with, he had Marfan's disease, which is where your body is long and tall and your joints get big and they're achy. That's what
Hmm.
Abraham Lincoln had. Um,
Hmm.
in addition to that, when he was 12, he had a heart transplant and he was given 4 years
Hmm.
to live. Really, really severe pain all the time. Um, of course, mom has to deal with this.
Right.
He has a sister, he has a dad, um, and he started seeing me about 2 years ago, and we started working on just raising his happiness level, just because the medicine makes him depressed, his
Right.
situation makes him depressed. Um, when he turned 21, he sent me this text of him with his sister, and he was holding his nephew, and he had this big grin on his face, and he said, "I get it." And I said, "What?" He goes, "I get it. It's all about joy,
Yes.
in the moment of joy, and understanding that not all the time has not. You don't have to be happy all the time. Being content is a beautiful thing."
So what is happiness? So what is happiness? The way you understand it.
Well, oh, happiness. Oh, there's so many different definitions. And that people think it's
Hmm.
joy. People think the most common misconception I think we have as women is we think
Hmm.
that thing you have when you meet a guy that first time, that
Right.
infatuation thing, that's happy.
Yeah.
Wrong, wrong, wrong.
Why? Why is that wrong?
Because that's not sustainable.
Mm.
Happiness is a state of sustainable, generally
Hmm.
sustainable peace and joy,
Hmm.
and looking for the good things in life, optimism.
Hmm.
I, I talk about this a lot. The world teaches us learned helplessness. that
Mm-hmm.
we can't because of our circumstances, because things happen to us, we can't.
Mm-hmm.
I say we should scratch that out and replace it with learned optimism.
I love that. You know, we were talking about that a little earlier. I
Mhm.
think about people who, by nature, are very pessimistic. So they look at life always on the left side. It's hard for them to see good things. It's hard for them to see the light at the end of a tunnel, even positive things. Well, at least things that other people might consider positive. They
Right.
might look for the one area where it might not work.
Mhm.
So I love the idea of teaching people to become optimistic. How have you done that in your practice? Like, how can you do that? How do you do that with your people?
I actually kind of have a formula, and it's worked.
Mhm.
I've had to kind of polish it up over the years, and it
Mhm.
started with a group of engineers that I started seeing. Believe it or not,
Mm.
people that, and this is just not. It's not. It's a very generalization, a generalized idea of what engineers are. I have a
Yes.
brother who's an engineer, so they're very kind of focused on one thing. They don't generally. They're not the jolliest people usually. If you
Right.
think engineer who
Good.
is full of life and they're very cut and dried.
Right.
They like a problem. They don't like
Mm-hmm.
anything to venture outside that problem, and they want to focus on that and move forward. Um,
Mm-hmm.
engineers, especially software engineers, tend to be in front of their computers a lot
Mm-hmm.
and have be super awkward socially.
Yes.
So for me, I had to teach them, especially if they have depression on top of all this, it becomes a
Mm-hmm.
huge issue. Had to teach them. I would say things like, "What do you like about yourself?" They couldn't recognize one thing. What do you like about your life? I don't know. What do you enjoy? I
Yes.
don't know. So you have to start by recognizing, and I said, it's okay, let's just step back for a second. What are you grateful for?
Ooh, gratitude.
Gratitude is the number one thing. The number one thing. If you can realize, and I start with this, I say, listen, I want you to every single day for the next 2 weeks, I want you to recognize three things that you're grateful for. Just three things. And it can be
Mm-hmm.
anything general. And just don't repeat the same things over and over again. It can be
Yes.
that somebody got me a cup of coffee, or that
Yes.
this food is good. Something as simple as that. Or that I don't have to sit in this meeting longer. Those are
Yes.
positives. That's reaching,
Yes.
that's stretching, but that's
Yes.
really, and if you can do that for 2 weeks, what you're going to find is after 7 days, you're looking for positive things that you can report as grateful, that you're grateful for.
Yes. Oh, I love this because a lot of people, I've heard from a lot of people, and perhaps a lot of you listening, you're asking yourself, what is there to be grateful for? I've been through a lot of hard times. I'm still in a very painful situation. My
Mhm.
childhood felt like crap. I'm saying it out there,
Sure.
right? How do you do that? So I guess the practical, you just give some very practical, very simple ways
Right.
also for how to look for opportunities to be grateful.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, like I said, it could be anything, and be as basic as you want to be. It's
Yeah.
fine. There's no right or wrong way to do this.
Yes. How
But
does
yeah,
how does
when
that
you're
impact the brain? How does that impact the brain?
what happens is again, after 7 days of this, you start looking for opportunities that are different.
Mm,
You're able to see
mm,
bigger things that you might be grateful for. Oh, well, this is better. Well, I mean, this
right,
opportunity came up for you at work, so I'm super grateful for this. This
right,
person, this person was nice to me. That girl spoke to me. That's usually how
right.
it goes. It's kind of funny. Um, and in the meanwhile, you're like, they're like, okay, so and then they come back 2 weeks later, and you're like, great. So we're going to continue that. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start looking for things that make you happy. And they're like what? I said, so what do you enjoy doing?
Mm-hmm,
I don't know. Well, you have to enjoy doing something, whether it's board games, eat,
mm-hmm,
like taking a nap, anything
mm-hmm.
like that. It can be anything. And you start looking for two things that make you happy. And so you have the underlying, I'm looking for things to be grateful for, and your brain's starting to
Yes.
switch over. And then the
Mm-hmm,
2 weeks later, you add the two things that make you happy,
mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden you notice that your brain's starting to change a little bit more. You're becoming a little less negative about everything,
Mm-hmm.
you know. We can also teach during this time, and I do often, when you start to go to that negative path and think about the trauma that happened to you. And it
Yeah,
happens to everybody because it creeps up at the nastiest moment. Stop.
absolutely.
You say stop. You actually can say it out loud. I have to say it out loud sometimes.
Oh,
My husband laughs at me sometimes. He's like, "Are you talking to yourself again?" Yes, because sometimes I'm the only person who will listen.
yes,
But if you can
yes,
say stop, if you can make yourself stop and then replace that negative with a positive. Okay, this happened to me, but look where I am now. This happened to me, but you know what? I'm not in that situation anymore. That's a positive.
yes, yes.
This happened to me, but I will never do that to another human being.
So what I'm hearing you say is we can interrupt our brain when it's
100%.
going down the rabbit hole of
Absolutely.
pain.
Mhm.
Yes,
And if you
yes.
can't even go that far, I say, pull up TikTok. Give yourself
Mhm.
30 seconds of thinking about something completely different.
Yes.
Stop. If you cannot physically make yourself stop cycling,
Yes.
distract yourself for a minute. Um, for women, it's generally a hot bath will do it too.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
I say hot bath and TikTok, do it at the same time. Why not?
Right.
Because let me tell you something, a man will figure out how to do this.
Yes.
They
Oh,
know how to
so are you suggesting that men do this, men do self-care
stop better.
better than women?
I'm not suggesting that is facts, sister. That is facts.
Winsty, what do you think, Winsty? Winsty and Marcia, I see y'all tonight. How
Uh-huh.
are you doing? Y'all, if you have questions, type them in the chat so we can see, share the live, because
Yes,
this is very
please.
important. I think we underestimate the power of happiness. And I think many of us think it's just a feeling that comes over us. But what you're saying is we can actively, intentionally, purposefully create it.
Mhm. Purposeful happiness, learned optimism. And remember, happiness is something that's cool. It's cyclic. It's not a one and done kind of thing.
Hmm.
When you're happy and you're around happy people, they
Hmm.
make you feel happy, and that other person feels happy too. And it goes
Yeah.
round and round.
So it's
Happiness is
contagious.
happiness. It's a positive. It's putting positives out there into the universe. I mean, several years ago, a guy wrote a book called The Secret.
Hmm.
Y'all want me to break it down for you simpler than The Secret?
Yes,
Guess
break it
what?
down.
It's real simple. If you look for positive things will come to you.
Yes, because
How
you're looking for them.
right? How many of us have heard that person say, "Oh, nothing ever goes right for me. Nothing
Ah,
ever goes right for me. It's always bad things that happen to me. Why does it only happen to me?" Guess what?
right.
You're putting negative out. Negative
Yes,
attracts negative.
yes.
Positive attracts it sounds hokey, but it is truth.
It
That is
works.
truth. And it has worked for me and it's worked for so many other people.
Absolutely. You know, in real life, if you buy a car, at least I notice that about myself. If I'm driving the car I'm driving, my brain is quick to notice it when I pass it on the
Yep.
street. It's almost like I'm looking for it. I'm paying
Exactly.
attention.
Mhm.
I'm looking for it. I understand what you mean. I understand what you mean. Can you help people understand what trauma, you mentioned trauma. What is your understanding of trauma and how does it impact the brain?
Trauma affects the brain hugely. Trauma can be anything from childhood trauma, physical, sexual, emotional, and usually it's a combination of them. Honestly,
Mhm.
it can happen at any point in time.
Mhm.
Childhood trauma is especially hard on adults because what happens is we're born in this world perfect, perfect.
Yes.
Where there is nothing more beautiful than a perfect baby. They smell perfect.
Mhm. Mhm.
Even, I mean, no matter how, even a little boy, and we all know little boys start stanky about 6 months old, right? But they're born just so yummy and perfect and they smell just great. They're worth millions. I mean, they're worth, it's countless. You can't even imagine what their worth is. And what happens is, as adults, even if parents are good parents, what they do is they
Mhm.
start assigning worth to that child, and they say,
Mhm.
"Shh, you're not allowed to speak, be quiet, go out of the way, do things
Mhm.
like that." That can actually even cause trauma. you know uh, Watch your sister. That's my favorite. Watch your
Yes.
sister. Let's parentify that child and make sure that they're responsible for my actions as an adult, because I want
Mhm.
to go be stupid and be immature.
Mhm.
So immature parents breed parentified children.
Mhm.
That's trauma. Again, sexual, social trauma, emotional trauma, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that causes, and it causes real damage to the brain. But
Yes,
for me, not just the brain, because the brain can be fixed.
that's
Remember,
right.
the
And
brain
that's
can be
important.
fixed.
That's a big piece of what we're talking about
Brain
tonight.
can be
Okay?
fixed. We're lied to and told our whole lives that we cannot fix our brain. We can.
We
The brain
can.
can fix it, but our soul is damaged. It's like this
That's
huge
correct.
bruise, and we can heal that soul. But you're like, well, my brain's fixed, so I have to dwell in the negative, and that's not okay. It's not all right.
Well, how do we fix that? How do we repair that? Because as kids, we do not have the power.
Mm-mm.
We're tiny, we're little bitty.
Mm-hmm.
Our voices are not as loud as the big people around us. They make the rules, they feed us, they tell us no food for you, or
Mm-hmm.
leave my house. So the time we do get to be able to fix that is when we do become adults and strong and we have access to resources ourselves. How do we start?
Well, I like to tell people, go find a picture of yourself as a child.
Hmm.
We were discussing this earlier. Go find a picture of yourself before all that stuff happened, or when during that stuff. Go find a
Mm-hmm.
picture of yourself before you're 8 years old. You know that one
Mm.
where you're toothless, you got one little tooth right there, and you got
Mm.
mud on your face, or they dressed you and your siblings all up the same. That one, the one
That
you're
one
embarrassed
suit from church, that one
about.
nice dress from church. Yeah. So find that and do
Find
what?
that. And I want you to put it someplace visible in your mirror, on your mirror, like that you look at every morning, on your fridge, wherever you're going to see it. And I think
Mhm.
that what you need to do is you need to write a note to yourself. You are enough, or I am
I
enough.
am enough.
Okay. And look at that picture. And I want you to focus on that picture every single day and recognize that that child deserves a healthy adult. And remember, we're so great at advocating for children, but we forget that we were
Mhm.
once children and we can't advocate for ourselves. So advocate.
Right. So is this what therapists refer to as healing the inner child?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It's a literal interpretation of it.
Mm-hmm.
It helps, in everyday therapy. It also helps people recognize that, yeah, I was a kid and guess what? I don't think I deserved all that. It's okay
Yes.
for them to write, if you feel angry with your parent or the person or the people
Right.
traumatized,
Right.
I say, write them a letter. You know what? You
Yes.
don't have to mail that letter, but when you get it out, man, it feels so good to get it out. It does.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, people that traumatize you as a child, nine times out of 10, they're not even going to hear it anyway. They're going to deny it. So who cares what they think? Get it out, say it. But you don't have to say it. Say it. Write it down. That's fine. Burn it if it makes you feel better. I say whatever. Make it as violent as you want to. I actually had somebody who wrapped wrapped a letter around a thing, an M, and what's it, M80 or whatever those fireworks are, and they threw it in their fire.
Uh-huh.
It just exploded. They said that was great. No,
That,
it's happy. I'm fine with it.
like boom.
Boom. Exactly.
That's awesome. I want you. What could you say to somebody who's listening who they understand what we're talking about the childhood trauma, but they feel guilty about, say, writing a letter or talking to the person who was the source of so much pain for them. I mean, what, because a lot of people walk around and they know they're in emotional hell
Hmm.
and they just keep, pushing through, pushing through, pushing through. And every day they have to interact with these people. Could be siblings, could be relatives, uncles, aunties who hurt them so badly when they were kids.
I
Would
say
you?
that's the time to step and advocate. Remember, if it was your child, you would say something. It's okay to say something. It's all right. Who told you? Where's the rule book? The rule book says you can't. Why? Because they don't want to hear it. Well, that's just too bad, isn't it? Because grown-ups, remember, think like a man.
Yes.
Grown-ups can handle a real conversation. They can.
Yeah.
I've had my own children say, "Mom, I don't think this was right when you did this."
Yes.
Did it hurt
Yes.
my feelings? Yes. But you know what? I sucked it up like a grown up and said, you know what? You're probably right. I did not think that I was doing that, but I'm really sorry. And if I could
Yeah.
go back and fix it, I could. And that was healing for them.
In that big paper that you wrote, beautiful paper on happiness,
Thank you.
you were talking about a book by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Hmm.
When he wrote the book Break the Habit of Being Yourself, and he's talking about neuroplasticity
Oh,
and
yes.
how we can use that on purpose to rewire our brains. Can you tell us more about that
Yeah.
concept?
So that kind of goes along the lines with what I was telling you about before. First 2 weeks, let's recognize the things that are you were grateful for. And this is
Hmm.
just a roadmap. There's no cut and dried way to do this. The fact
Right.
is, I'm going to back up for a second. Neuroplasticity means that your brain actually rewires itself, and it rewires itself. Some say every 30 days, but it's if you can do it for 60 days, it is
Hmm.
100% done in your mind. That is a new habit. That is a new thought process, and
Yeah.
that is sustainable. And we want sustainable.
And that is research based. You're
Research
not
based,
just saying
not
that.
just me. Not I'm not putting it out there. That is research based. Those are facts, and that
Can
has
you
been
say
known for
that
about.
again? Can you say that again? So if I want to learn, if I want to change something about myself,
Mhm.
including my emotional state, like my state of unhappiness,
Right.
you're suggesting that I can try some new behaviors
Hmm.
for at least 60, 66 days,
Hmm.
and I
Absolutely.
can rewire my brain so I become a different person, essentially.
Absolutely. And I've seen it happen over and over again. It started off with me. I will tell you this. I'm a huge skeptic. I was 44 when I found out about the neuroplasticity. I
Mm-hmm.
was a nail biter. Okay.
Mm,
We're just going to go straight with nail biting. I was a
yeah.
nail biter. And I made the commitment that I was going to stop biting my nails. And it was at that time, it was for 6 weeks. And I found that 6 weeks I was still putting things in my mouth, but
Mm-hmm.
so I kept it up. Um, After 2 months, I don't bite my nails anymore. I don't. It took a long time. And yeah, I was popping a rubber band, all
Mm-hmm.
those things. But once you change your brain,
Yes.
you can still go back to that place, but it's much harder to go backwards than it is move forward. Remember, learned optimism is
That's right.
forward.
Moving forward. Okay, so you mentioned the rubber band.
Hmm.
Can you tell people how we might use that to help us learn a new habit?
Yes. So when you have a habit that you want to change, the
Mm-hmm.
only way to change a habit is to replace one habit with another habit. Now remember, I'm going to repeat that.
Can you say that again?
The only way to facilitate change in anything is to replace one habit with another habit. And anybody who's ever been, that's right, and anyone who's ever been through addiction, like drinking, like negative speaking, or anything like that, knows that that's the truth. When you start going down the negative road, that's why it's important to replace that negative thought with a positive thought immediately. Immediately. Don't give yourself any slack. You're grown up now. It's okay.
You are grown up now.
That's right. It's okay. You're a grown up now. Advocate for that inner child. Learn how to smile. And it's going to change things exponentially
Around you.
around you. Not just that. Do you know? Let me read you some stats. These are great. So,
Yes.
uh, positive
Ooh.
emotions boost our job performance. That is facts.
So
Positive.
being positive
Mhm.
boosts the output on your job.
You earn more money. You want to earn more money? Be positive. Who wants to work with somebody who is negative all the time? Not
Sourpuss.
me.
Yeah.
Not
Right?
me.
Think about it, y'all. Do you enjoy being around a sourpuss?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, it's just not true. Yeah, it's terrible.
What
Um,
else? What are some
Positive,
more?
yeah, positive emotions in the workplace are contagious.
If
Positive emotions in any settings are contagious. Think about we've hung out outside of work, and
yes,
when one of us starts giggling, somebody else starts giggling too.
that's right.
I mean,
Just
anybody
relentlessly.
who's ever been to a sleepover knows that. That's just simple stuff there.
Right.
Which means one positive person has a ripple effect on other people. Think about
And
the
the opposite
change.
is also true.
That is true. Ripple effect. One person can change many people. All it takes is one person stepping up and being positive. That's it.
Yes.
Small, simple actions have big impacts on our happiness, um, meaning that it doesn't take much to encourage other people to be happy, and it doesn't take much to encourage yourself. Just something small and simple. That's why I say start with, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? Because that, oh, I'm grateful that somebody brought in decent coffee and it wasn't burned today, turns into, that was really nice of you for bringing in that cappuccino for me, because I know you went out of your way for that.
So I have a task for the people listening and for the people who will come upon this video. When you come upon this video, I have an assignment for you. Write in the chat at least one thing you're grateful for. Write it in the chat. One thing you're grateful for. Okay? Keep going, Karen.
Um, I think this is something that's interesting too. So when people are able to find the thing that they're grateful for,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're able to find the thing that makes them happy and brings them joy, and they remember it's 3 and then it's 2.
Yes.
What I then asked them to do for the next 2 weeks is I asked them to perform a small act of kindness, random act of kindness. Now, it can be simple. They're like, well, I don't do stuff like that. I'm not going to go buy coffee for everybody in Starbucks. Nobody's asking you to.
Yes.
That person in the room that's not smiling, the person in the room that's holed up, tell them to have a good day. Smile at them. Ask them, how are you today?
So it's that doing something positive for somebody else that releases that happiness in you.
Not just that, it has been proven that when you smile, when you're happy, when you do any random act of kindness, it is a twofold thing, not just a one. It is not, okay, you get this and I get this.
Yes.
When you perform a random act of kindness or you're kind to anyone, the person that gives the kindness receives as much pleasure as the person receiving the kindness. That is a thing. One act equals 2 results. That's fantastic.
That's right. That's right. That could impact your whole day, your whole week, your whole month. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some of the things I found too, people overestimate the impact that money has on their happiness. I hear that all the time.
I was going to ask that question. How is money related? Does money make you happy? Does money make us happy?
Okay, I can't say no. Okay, but no. But that being said, it's not in the way that you think.
Yes.
If you have enough money for your basic needs, that's really all you need to be happy. That's it.
So enough money to take care of your immediate needs, your needs, so that you're not feeling in a state of want and lack
all the time. Okay. So, like, if you earn enough money with your job that can pay all your bills, that can get you out partying with the girls on the weekend every once in a while,
right,
and that you're not always behind,
right.
You're going to be in a state of okayness. Remember how I said this guy he's great, searching for the okay right now. And that okayness is peace. Think about that. We're not always worried, always wanting that kind of, it's a beautiful state. At some point, actually having money can be a negative.
Tell me more.
You're always worried about it. You're always worried about how you're going to pay the taxes. What's going to happen? What are my employees going to do? I mean, you've been in a lesser situation like I have, and in a greater situation like I have. And at some point, it actually kind of, it's a little bit harder.
Becomes a weight, like a house on top of your head. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, so it's about finding, what I'm hearing you say is money, finding balance, and finding your sweet spot, like your comfortable place.
That's right. It's simple. Okay. It's all about comfort. Remember, we're not trying to find woohoo. Yes. This is not a woohoo moment. This is I'm great.
So you're trying to find a state of sustainable comfort, sustainable contentment. Yes. Okay, here's another one. Some of us, when we're not having it, or when we're having too little of it, think life has ended. Does sex make you happy?
Yes. No. Sex helps.
Okay.
It helps, but it's not the end of the world. The thing is that it's not the sex part. That's the companionship part that you're concerned about. Some people, there are some people who couldn't care less about sex, and they just want companionship. There's some
Mhm.
people who care more about sex. I think it's important to have a partner who's as interested as you are. 'Cause
Right,
that
right.
way you're both balancing each other out and you're good. And you can
And
create,
that contentment
yeah.
um
Mhm.
piece gets
When
met.
one wants it and one doesn't want it, that's when we have a problem usually. And
Right.
that's, as the MFT, that's where I see the biggest issues. Um, I have a
As
guy,
in relationships.
yeah, the relationships. I have a guy who's
Hmm.
been married to the same woman for 20 years, and
Hmm. And
he hasn't had sex in 7 or 8 because she's just not
wow,
interested. And then she
wow.
told me about it. She came last year and said, "I'm asexual." He goes, "I don't even know what to do with that. I'm not." So that's
Mhm.
he's going to have to come to terms on his own and figure out what he wants to do, and
Mhm.
that's more turmoil.
Okay, so we might be going a little bit off the beaten path here, but I want us to, because you mentioned asexuality.
Hmm.
I'm a little curious about that. Like for the people listening, what does that mean?
About 20% of the population are just not interested in sex at all, male and female, and it's just across the board. And
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with it, but you must find a partner or somebody a companion who is of similar mind, because
Hmm.
it's not fair to be with somebody long term that wants sex when you don't want it. That's
Right.
It's like anything else with money. There's some people who really couldn't care less about money, and some people who care too much about money.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like values, I think that's the thing. Values, what are your values? And are you, whoever you're with, do they have similar values as you? Once that's
Hmm.
taken care of, all the other issues kind of take care of themselves.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. What might you suggest to, again, and maybe I asked that in a different way earlier, but I worry for people who have been sad persistently,
Hmm.
chronically sad. Like from the time they were kids, they were sad. And it's, you see that they can barely break a smile. What would you suggest to a person like that?
Well, what I would do, again, I have my own ways. Uh, I have a couple of people who were born in other countries, and I
Hmm.
have one guy who was born, and he said it was fine to talk about. So I'm not, no names, but
Yes, yes.
he was from an Asian country,
Hmm.
and when he came to America with his family as a 3 year, I think he just turned 4. His
Hmm.
family had to work, and so he was placed with an auntie for about 10 years.
Oh.
And the auntie basically would not allow. She had, I think, 20 kids under her care. And when
Mm.
I say auntie, that's for people who are not familiar with this term. That means it's basically just it's not really a relative. It's just somebody who
Right.
watches the child.
Hmm.
He basically had the child beat out of him. Anytime
Hmm.
he smiled, anytime he reacted, anytime he did anything that was even childlike, he
Hmm.
never played. He never did any of that stuff.
Hmm.
Consequently, when he came in, he was unable to even smile. He was
Hmm.
stone faced, and it
Yeah.
was kind of intimidating. And so I did everything I could. The first two sessions, I tried to crack jokes. I mean,
Hmm.
everything just to see what the smile would look like. And finally, I said, "Is there a comedian that you like?" And he goes, "Yes, Fluffy." That's Gabrielle Iglesias for anybody who knows how that is.
Okay, okay, okay. Right, right, right.
So
Yes.
played some Gabrielle Iglesias, and he cracked a smile. And I said, "Okay, now freeze your face right there." And I had him go practice in the mirror.
Wow.
Because when he tried to smile naturally, his grimace was scary. He
Yeah.
did not know his face had not,
The muscles,
the
the
muscles in
smile
your face
muscles.
and your brain take
Yes.
work. And
Yeah.
it took him 2 weeks of practicing every single day to be able to crack a spontaneous smile.
Wow. I
And he
love that.
does it now. He practiced, and we added that to his regimen of things that he needed to practice. And
Yes.
he now smiles regularly. He's able to make eye contact and smile. He flirted. He goes, "Karen, I flirted." I said, "What?" He goes, "I looked at her and I smiled, and she smiled back at me." And I'm like,
Oh,
beautiful.
so
Beautiful.
y'all, these are the little victories that us therapists, we really revel in. Can you imagine your client comes in, somebody comes in that you've been working with and helping, and they're like, "Oh, I smiled," right?
It's
But a
great,
little
right?
thing like that, it's great. A little thing like that can bring so much joy and a sense of accomplishment to somebody. So Wincy's got a question. Wincy says, can someone use sex as a distraction to get off one old habit, right? Would you advise that? Would you advise using sex as a distraction
No,
to get off an old habit? Why would you not?
because that's not sustainable. Okay. What you
Mm.
want is you want to take the habit that you had before,
Hmm.
the bad habit or whatever it is you're trying to change, and you want
Hmm.
to change it with something that you can do long term. Now, if you're married and you're a long term relationship,
Hmm.
I say do
No
it, but
access. Yeah.
yeah, do it. That's fine. But your partner is going to be trained a certain way. Remember, when we have sex with other people, we're training someone else to treat us a certain way. Okay.
Yes.
And if it's because in my experience, and from what I've heard over many years, when they use it as a distraction, it tends to be more violent, and things like that. It's
Hmm.
probably not a good idea. You want sex because sex is one of the 5 things that we need on this earth to survive as human beings. Okay.
Can you
It is
say that again?
Sex is one of the essential things that we need. One of the essential things that we need is as important as breathing for most people. Okay. Sex is, yes, it is important. We need shelter, safety, love, but part of love is companionship, and sex is
Hmm.
up there too.
Hmm.
People forget that it's like when we use eating, it would be the same
Yes.
thing as eating for that. So if I use eating to distract myself from or change a habit from one to the other, and I use eating, what's going to happen is I'm going to become a binge eater.
Yes.
That
Okay.
translates to sex. So I say let's try something different on that one. That might
Hmm.
not be the best thing for you. If you like
Hmm.
having sex, great, but I still think that it might not be the healthiest thing for you long term.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh, I love that answer. I love that answer because I it made me think about the partner.
Hmm.
Because if I'm using it as a distraction, as opposed to a way to attach and show my love, like I've changed the meaning of that interaction.
Absolutely.
And, the energy that I'm transferring
Hmm.
is not one of attachment and I love you
And the
and let's
partner's
be
going to feel
together.
used.
There's going to be a feeling of
Yeah, it's going to feel
being,
used, and you're going to feel dirty for doing it, and you should feel
yeah,
love and pleasure from it. So I
yes, yeah.
say let the sex be sex, and let's
Hmm.
change the habit using something else.
Something else. Yeah.
Exercise is
Um,
good.
Say that again.
Exercise is great.
Exercise is good because it's a positive, so you take a right action.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And it
it's
creates
positive.
endorphins and it creates oxytocin, and it makes you feel loved. Like after you go for a run or a real healthy walk or walk around the lake, which I know that's something you do.
Yes,
I like doing that too.
yes.
When you have that and you're outside and I feel the fresh air and I can take a big deep breath and I feel happy,
Hmm.
that's so much healthier than going and having a quickie with your significant other.
And that is always available to me. My mate
Always
might not be available
true.
at my time of feeling overwhelmed,
Hmm.
or they might not want to. They might
Hmm.
not want to.
You also
You might
risk you also
go
risk
ahead.
developing a an addiction,
Yes,
like extreme masturbation. I'm just putting that out there. That is something that people have.
please do. I do want to talk about pornography and
Mhm.
sexual addiction
Mhm.
and sexual disorders at some point.
Yeah,
Can you talk a little bit more about that? This is Mental Health Awareness Week.
right.
Our session is on happiness, but we're also taking questions about other things.
Well, right.
So,
That's one of the biggest leading causes of unhappiness. When one's addicted to porn, the other one's not. Um, Anytime anything gets in the way of your life, that's pretty much an addiction.
mhm.
When you have it's usually the man that's addicted, but I would honestly tell you, I think I found just as many females who are addicted to porn as males.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
And watching porn does not mean you're addicted. I'm just putting that
Right,
out there. Okay.
right.
That is, again, everybody has their own ways of handling things and doing things like that. But when we use it as a replacement for another feeling,
Mm,
you risk becoming addicted, and that can get in the way of your sex life. That can get in the way of your happiness, and it can make your partner feel worthless and used. And it's never ever good to add a third anybody, including a third person in your head, to a relationship. There's room for two usually. We add a third, that's a problem.
usually, right?
Usually. Hmm.
I well, some people might disagree with you with the new push there seems to be towards open relationships
I'm just not
and
a fan. I've never seen it work out.
multi. partners, multi-partners. Are you saying as a therapist that most of us don't see that those structures working well for most of the people?
100%. I'm telling you, they're 100%. I say 2 makes a relationship, 3 makes a problem. Because
Three increases the likelihood of problems.
oh,
Why?
it cracks me up. And the guy's like, yes, I'd like a threesome with another woman. And I'm like, when she's with that other woman, because she likes it better than with you, you're going to have a problem.
I think many men don't anticipate that potentiality.
Yeah. I'd say
and
you're right
become
on that one.
and become very, very
And that's
distressed.
usually the way it goes, too, just so you know.
Become quite distressed when it doesn't
I
work.
always shake my head and go, oh, child, no, not a good idea. It's not going to go well for you.
Okay, you mentioned oxytocin. Can you
Mhm.
talk a little bit about oxytocin and its role in happiness?
Yes, oxytocin is the hormone that your body naturally produces when you're in
Mhm.
love.
Mm.
But it is also the hormone that your body secretes when you exercise, when you
Ah,
perform random acts of kindness, when
yes,
you are feeling joy.
yeah,
That thing that everybody, that elusiveness that everybody's looking for, that's
yeah,
oxytocin. Okay,
yeah.
it's not sustainable, but it's wonderful. I find it addictive. What I
Yes.
found with my own mother, and when I started looking towards doing the random act of kindness every day, is when
Hmm.
I would do those random act of kindness, I felt so good. I want to do more. And now I kind of it drives my husband out of his mind, because I will stop somebody and I will do something just ridiculous. And we weren't stopped when we were in South America, and I walked over and I handed my umbrella to this homeless guy. My husband goes,
Oh.
"Lost your mind." No,
So
no,
you
I
were
know.
chasing the oxytocin.
It was just for the. I mean, I felt it's, But again, I feel like it's a double positive, so it erases whatever. Do I always make the best decisions about it? Yeah, I feel like I do, because I feel like
Mhm.
kindness matters. Kindness
Mm.
matters. It does. And kindness,
Mhm.
when you can incorporate kindness into any regimen of learning how to be happier, it's more
Yes.
sustainable. You can always be kind. You can be broke as all get out, but you can always be.
Right. It
You do
doesn't
not
take
need money
much.
to be. Yeah, you do not need money to be kind.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Okay. I have a question about a tool that both of us are trained in called hypnotherapy.
Oh yeah,
And have you your,
I love it.
your look at her physical reaction
I love
to
it.
the word,
Mhm.
right? As I try to speak more about hypnotherapy, every chance I get, look at somebody else's reaction to it. Okay, so first off, help us understand from your perspective what is hypnotherapy and how you have found it valuable. Do you think it's a valuable tool when it comes to rewiring the brain for happiness? And have
Oh,
you seen it work with your clients?
100%. For those that can't get over trauma, it
Mm.
is a useful tool to be able to
Mhm.
lock away those thoughts and those things that cycle through your head. It's a useful
Mhm.
tool to be able to put them away so that you can move on
Mhm.
with life. Because
Yeah.
sometimes in our mind we can't move that thing from in front of us. We just need help moving it out of the way, putting it
Yeah.
over here so you know where it is,
Mhm.
moving on. That's it. And I like to think as a hypnotherapy as I call it a mental massage.
Yes.
Marinate on that one. It is true.
You heard that? Marinate on that.
Marinate
A
it, girl.
mental massage.
I mean, and when people come out of hypnotherapy, I love watching their faces, because usually they cry, especially
Yeah.
if they've had trauma and they've not been able to express it. And they'll
Yes.
wake up and they'll have tears on their. Where'd these come from? And then
Yes.
they'll be like, they'll just sit there like, I feel so good. What was that?
What was
I
that?
want more.
What was that?
I said, that's your mental massage for the day. What it did
Yeah.
is it just gave you permission to put that bad stuff away, to get
Mhm.
it out, to understand why you're doing some of the stuff you're doing. Because sometimes we do things and we don't know why.
Yes.
I remember the first time you did that with me. And I was able to recognize a specific incident that started off a crappy relationship with my father. I mean, I know it was bad before that. However, that put things in perspective for me,
Mhm.
and it changed a whole bunch of stuff.
Mhm.
I told you about the spider, right?
Tell me more. Tell
Okay.
me again.
I know you're getting slim with your time, but
That's all right.
um,
That's all right.
I've done so much hypnotherapy now that when I was with my siblings, we had a sibling week. And my mother's passed away. My father's still with us, but he's not been in my life since my 20s because of some of the things that happened. When we were children, the first four of us would go around from reservation to reservation with my father because he was a social worker. And my sister told me about a time. She goes, remember the time with the Black Widows? And I'm like, I don't remember that. I don't. And it was a memory that I had blocked. And I don't think I could have been more than 5 or 6 years old. And we were in a room and it was infested with Black Widow spiders. It was on a reservation. It was one of those things, those old buildings that you can imagine in your brain. And it was just like that. But we had to spend the whole night there, even though my father knew that it was infested with Black Widow spiders and one of us could be bitten and die. We were terrified.
Yeah.
Consequently, I have been arachnophobic my entire life. And as I was telling this story afterwards, it clicked. It clicked. As I was telling the story afterwards to somebody who I just hypnotized, I said, it made a big difference. I walked over and stepped on a spider that was walking across my floor. Didn't even phase that, picked it up and threw it in the garbage can. And he goes, you realize what you just did? And I looked at it and I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
50 years of trauma gone like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just amazing. It's just
by
amazing.
using the power of your mind.
That's it.
But by having tools.
Yeah. You're just teaching them how to organize it in your head so that you can move on.
You know, the other important thing you said is, hey, you didn't even remember.
I didn't.
You didn't even remember. So we do have many of these memories that are traumatic memories for us, that we were too overwhelmed in the moment for our brain to hold on to them. So it chucked it away. Absolutely. It buried it. Yeah. Absolutely. But it can, just because it's buried and we are now unconscious to it, does not mean it's not impacting our lives in a negative way. For example, like you say, you were terrified of spiders.
Terrified.
Now. Yeah.
I was a screamer. Can you imagine that? I was a screamer.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. And there you go with a tool, a powerful tool like hypnotherapy. You know, your brain starts to make those associations that it needs to release what it needs to release, put things in a different place, like almost like reframe it, put it on a different canvas.
100%.
Yes. I love that story. So what makes you happy? What do you do to sustain your happiness?
I'm a real simple girl. Believe it or not, I am. I've learned over the years that there's some things that really just don't matter. What my father did to me, did it impact my life? It used to. I decided I will not let him have any power over my life anymore. I made that decision in my 20s. It's grown strong in my 30s. I think I was 36 when I finally was like, you know what? I'm not letting anybody do this to me anymore. And that's when I got my attitude.
Can you say that again? It sounds to me as if you made a decision.
I did. I made a decision. I made the decision that I was not going to let someone's who was negative rule my life. And I decided I was going to take my life back. And I decided I was going to be my true authentic self and be happy. I made the decision to be happy. And I've looked for ways every single day since then to be happy. And I'm happy. I think I'm very optimistic now. I really am.
So you changed your brain. You changed your brain. Yeah. And you know what you're describing is so powerful because our parents are godlike to kids. Parents take on that kind of bigger than life, larger than life energy in our lives. And for you as an adult to recognize it is me. I have to make a decision.
Absolutely.
Because I am strong enough now. The child has grown up. And so as an adult, I must take a stand and act as if that child is grown up.
Absolutely. And I wanted it better for my daughters. I wanted them to see that it was okay to be a happy grown adult. And it was okay to make decisions that made me happy and not necessarily anybody else. And that's okay.
It was okay to make decisions that made me happy. I heard all sorts of having to establish boundaries in that statement.
Yep. It's okay to say no. That's what I tell everybody. A woman, I don't care if she's 16 years old, comes to my office. The first thing I say is, you need to learn how to say no. They said no. And and I said no to whatever it is that's not making you happy. You are
That's it.
not responsible for all the parties for the family. You are not responsible for 4th of July, Easter, Christmas, everything. You say no. Guess what? It's okay. The year that I decided that I was not going to cook Thanksgiving dinner, I said I was too tired. I went and bought it, Fresh Market.
Yeah.
Brought it to my house, took it out of their pans, put it in my pans, put it on the table. You know what? Not one single person noticed. They couldn't care less.
They noticed.
And I said, oh, ho, okay now. All right. Lesson learned. And now they're like, what's for dinner? And I'm like, I don't know, whatever you're bringing.
So are you saying that you make it sound as if women seem to be quite vulnerable to
100%.
unhappiness?
100%.
Why?
Because we're wired that way. We're female. We're our feminine energy. We want to take care of everybody else. We put our needs last, blah, 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 blah. Let me tell you something. You start thinking like a man, you fill your own cup first. Repeat after me. Fill my own cup. You fill
First.
your cup by learning to say no, by saying it's okay. Giving yourself a bubble bath once a week. When's the last time you enjoyed a bath instead of
Ooh,
jumping in the shower to get clean? This is not
yes.
about getting clean. This is about soaking, enjoying, relishing, giving yourself time to heal, taking a moment of peace, locking the bathroom door so the kids can't walk in. Girls, listen, lock that door. Turn the radio up if you are hearing them yell outside. It's going to be fine. Nobody's going to die in an hour. It'll be okay. Take the time to love yourself. Recognize yourself. Remember how we talked about the other 3 things we were doing? 2 weeks of this, 2 weeks of this, 2 weeks of this. The last 4 weeks, the last 2 weeks, which is the last 2 weeks of this 8 weeks that we do.
Yes.
I say now, I want you to think of 5 things every day that you do to make yourself love yourself.
Mm.
We went back up to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? You can recognize it now. What do you do? Because that takes work.
Yes.
It takes work to heal. It takes work to be happy. It is not
It takes
easy.
commitment. It takes discipline. It really takes intention.
It does.
And yeah, you can't be lazy with yourself. You deserve better.
It's
I mean,
not
you
like
can
trying to
choose
lose
to be
weight.
lazy with yourself, but
Yeah.
do your best you can.
Yeah, it's not like trying to lose weight. Okay, this is not, we can't just sort of kind of, you have to do it all in or not, because your brain, that's how your brain works. And it will
Yes.
work. I promise you.
It will respond. It
It will
does.
be fine. It's a beautiful thing. Happiness is cyclic. The happier you are, the more happy you will become. And you will feel peace like no other peace on this planet. It is beautiful. I want everyone to receive that.
Okay, I want you to review that plan where you talk about identifying. Start by next
things you're
week.
grateful for. 2
So you
weeks.
start 2 weeks, things you're grateful for.
3
You
things
can
you're
write
grateful
it
for.
down.
Yeah, write them down. And you write down everything, because guess what? If you're not keeping account, you're not accountable. Okay?
If you're not keeping account, you're not accountable.
That's right. It's important. Then you add, after 2 weeks, I want you to add 2 things that make you happy. That make you happy.
Yes.
Okay, so grateful, happy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what was the next thing I said, Trippy?
Well, you're talking also about the importance of discipline, right? Being consistent,
Mm-hmm.
and then moving towards what you love.
Uh-huh. So
Yeah.
we added the acts of kindness.
Yes, random acts of kindness.
Random acts of kindness towards other people.
Yes.
And then the last 2 weeks, you turn it in towards yourself and do random acts of kindness for yourself.
For yourself.
And your brain will change. And all of a sudden, you'll be like there 1 minute, and you'll be like, holy crap, I get it. I get it. Because your brain, it takes that long for the neurons to learn how to fire. So this side will start to fire to that side, and you'll back to this side. And all that trauma that was all in your head, it will all be healed. It will help heal it. It's fantastic.
You mentioned earlier, as we start wrapping up, you mentioned a client who recently told you, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share that story?
Yeah, she had her picture up on the fridge, And she
Mhm.
was so mad at me for making her put that picture up on the fridge. She goes,
When she
"I don't like
started.
that picture. I hate that picture. I know what was going on during the time of that picture." And I said, "I don't care. Keep it up." And she had the "You are enough." And I had to write it in lipstick because she wasn't getting it. I said, "You write it in lipstick, it's bright red above it. You are enough." Okay. So she
Mhm.
said she kept looking at that picture and looking at that picture and looking at that picture. She was doing all the other steps. And she was sitting there on Mother's Day, and she had got a call from her friend, and the friend needed something, and she was able to be there for her friend. And then her
Mhm.
daughter said something, she's able to be there for her friend, and she started laughing. And she said, "I looked over at that picture and it clicked." She said, "I saw myself. I'm that same girl. That's me. I didn't deserve that crap.
Yeah.
It's okay for me to move on." And she said she was able to, she said, "I'm taking the picture down. It's going back in my album." And I said, "Congratulations. I don't need to see you anymore. We're good." That's great.
Therapy done.
Get it over with. Get it
And
done.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that so much. I say often that the adult, the adult in you must step up, must grow up. Sometimes I yell about it because it's like I want you to hear it.
Right.
You're an adult. Nobody else is supposed to come rescue you. It's not their
No,
job.
that's learned helplessness.
Learn
What did we
helplessness.
say we want? We want learned optimism.
Optimism instead. It is not anybody else's responsibility or their job to come fix you or do for you once you become an adult. If life feels painful, step up,
That's right. Fix it.
grow up, and fix it.
Put a band-aid on it. It's okay. Put a band-aid on it,
No,
move on. And remember, you are not just the master of your own fate, but you're the adult that can fix the inner child in you. You have everything within you.
that is
Everything.
it. That is it. You are the adult. In your mind, you might still see yourself as a child needing your mother or your father or some type of mother father figure outside of yourself to rescue you.
Mhm.
Scratch that out. Get a picture, like Karen is saying, if you need to. Put it on your refrigerator of yourself in your nice little Sunday best,
Mhm.
right? Or somewhere sitting by the beach, but when you were a little kid, and remind that child, write a note. I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. Reconnect your adult self to that child. Many of us, we disconnect. We leave the little child stranded and we're walking around in big bodies
Mhm.
saying, still somebody, oh, I'm lost, I'm lost, I'm lost. The child in you is still lost because, yeah, the people around you didn't know how to parent you well or they hurt you and whatever. But you are now an adult. And if this 8-year old you were you, right, were your child, would you allow adults to continue to hurt them? No. So you've got to go take care of that child, reconnect with that child, love that child, appreciate that child, know that that child is enough because, hey, that child is you.
You're right. I got one more thing to say about that
Yes.
too. Here's the
Yes.
thing, because you've had that trauma and you know your trauma. Remember,
Yes.
no one has the equipment other than you to fix you.
You have the whole story.
You have everything. You don't, nobody else can fix you. The therapist doesn't even know as many things about you as you, but
You are the
you have it.
expert.
You have it. So take responsibility and do it. Step up to it. You're going to feel so powerful when you're done. It is such a beautiful feeling. I keep saying, I wish I could scoop that part out of my brain and share it.
And just download it
Oh,
into
it's so
other
much
people.
great.
Absolutely.
If I could just download this into all the women that were under 30, I would, oh girl. I mean, we could package that stuff.
It
That would be
changed the
so great.
world.
It would change the world. It'd be run by women, of course. It probably better, but that's okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
But y'all, you are so much more powerful than you know you are. I like to say, than you remember that you are,
Than you ever imagined.
than you ever imagined. And it's time to access that power. Really, it's like flipping on the switch because all of the, you are wired for it already. Yeah. So the house is wired. but you got to turn on the electricity so the lights can come on. And nobody else can turn it on for you.
That's right.
It's not their job. That learned helplessness business of waiting for somebody else to come teach you how to flick on the light, your light. No. Karen is telling you about learned optimism where you take a risk on yourself. Take a chance that if I flip it on, the light is going to come on. Take a chance. Okay? So, this is our offering tonight. Before I allow Karen to gift you with some parting thoughts, I want to take Wednesday's question. Wednesday says, Doc, I believe that I suffer with trauma daily related to not seeing my son. But however, I create fun times that we did and would have done together. Now, even doing so causes me to have thoughts of him every other minute. I don't think this is helping me, but I have to wait on the system. What would you advise for my mental health in the interim? What do you think, Karen?
I think that writing him a letter every
Mm,
single time she thought about it is going to help. And one day, keep it in a
Wednesday.
notebook. And if she does not have access to it right now, when he comes and finds you, and he will, you can hand him that and say, you are on my thoughts every single day. Because you can say it all you want to, but if you have a notebook that's full of letters that you wrote him, he's going to know what was going on. And it's going to heal your soul so much. It is so important.
Wednesday, this is a powerful sharing because many men like you in your position have been separated and alienated from their children. And the legal system is not always
Friendly. They're not.
friendly to men. Yeah, I
But
get
he
that.
will find you. He will. Someday he will find you. And even if he's angry with you, you can say, yeah, you could be angry with me, but listen, I want you to know this is real. This is what was really going on. This is what was in my heart. And that's going to be so much that he needed to heal. Even if you never get to heal, you're going to be able to heal your own child. It'll be
I
fantastic.
think this is beautiful. This is powerful. This is the answer. This is the best you can do.
100%.
Yeah. And can you imagine like just how life changing that would be for your son?
It's going to
Wednesday?
heal so much. It's going to be
Because
fantastic. And if he wants to tell us, this is what I wanted to do. This is what I wish I could do with you today.
yeah,
It's okay to say. Just
yeah,
write it down, because when he comes, and he will,
you will.
you might
Yeah,
both be old, but you know how much healing is going to go on? It's going to be
yeah,
beautiful.
yes. You might even be gone, but this is something you must bequeath to your son
Agreed.
because it's a healing thing.
Agreed.
Wednesday, that's the answer.
100%. Keep it
Yeah.
up, buddy. Okay? Keep it up. We're all praying for you.
Yeah, I think you're speaking for many men and a small percentage of women in that position who've been separated from their children, who they live with the pain, that grief every minute. It's ongoing, chronic grief
Yeah.
from that loss.
100%.
Hmm. So, Karen,
Mhm.
as we prepare to say good evening to our lovely listeners,
I think we
what
are.
would you love to? What would you love to leave us with? How can they connect with you if somebody wants to connect with you? What are your thoughts as you leave?
Um, Anybody who wants to connect with me, they're more than welcome to. I'm sure you can leave my contact info. It's not a problem at all. I have
Mm.
absolutely no problems answering any questions. As my husband's walking back and forth like a zombie trying to distract me, I have no problems at all talking with anyone. If they need need anything. Wednesday, I mean, my gosh, I can't even imagine what you're going through. It just sounds awful. But know that I've had other people in that position, and that particular skill is incredibly
Mhm.
helpful. It's
Mhm.
incredibly, it helps you work through and kind of bond in a way that you don't know you can bond. And I think it's a good thing. Hypnotherapy
Absolutely.
helps too.
You all heard that? Hypnotherapy also helps too. Oh,
100%.
talking about hypnotherapy, I have a new training set up for June. If you're interested, If you're a mental health professional, if you're a healer, if you're into counseling, social work, marriage and family therapy, psychology, go to my website, drtriffy.com, and investigate hypnotherapy. You
Absolutely.
will not regret it.
You
You'll be
won't.
so happy you did it.
You will.
Right, Karen?
100%. 100%.
100%.
Hmm.
So, what do you want to leave us with, Karen?
I want to leave you with a couple of things that I think are super important.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, experiencing more positive emotions, doing more things that make you happy, and bring more daily happiness into your routine is probably one of the most important and healthy things you can do for yourself.
Mm,
Working on upping your engagement, like doing hobbies, those are things that bring those endorphins. It brings oxytocin. It's almost as good as exercise,
yes.
and it also brings you joy, even in the moment. I feel like that's super important. Develop your skills. You never know when you're
Yes.
going to need them or share them. That can also play into your random act of kindness.
Sharing the double edge, the
Mhm.
double portion of
Right.
joy. Yeah.
Another important positive psychology moment is improving the quality and quantity of your relationships.
Oof.
Okay?
Oh, okay. Can you say a little bit more? This is so big.
Improve the
Oh,
quality and the quantity of your relationships. Build your tribe. Your tribe does not have to be your family, people. Those are people that you love, people that you bring into your life, people that you experience joy with. That's okay. Um, Everybody has things differently. You know, everybody has different families. Some people have a strong bond with their parents, some people don't. Some people
mhm.
have a strong bond with their siblings, some people don't.
Yeah.
Build the quantity and the quality in that relationship because those are the things that are going to keep you alive longer and healthier.
Mhm.
It is statistically proven that the better relationships you have and the happier you are, the longer you live. So,
Yes.
unless you're ready to die next week, and pack it in. We don't want to focus on that learned helplessness. We want to learn the learned optimism. And it's
Mhm.
going to be so much easier to make those connections if you have an optimistic attitude.
Mhm.
Um, the other thing that I want to put out is seek out meaning. So the things that you do, they should be meaningful. Okay, there should be
Yes.
a reason why you do it. People that have jobs like you and I have that have
Yeah.
meaning in them, we enjoy them more.
Yes.
We do them better.
We could do it for free. Yeah.
I do it for free
All the
sometimes.
time. All the time.
Out there, but yeah, we do it all the time for free. You know we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It helps even if you're just mentoring someone. And I would say to Wednesday, his son's not there. Seek out a young man to mentor. Do you know how hard it is to find a mentor as a male that loves, cares, and genuinely wants the best for you? That is going to heal both of you all. It is a powerful tool.
That's a good one.
Okay. And the last thing that I want to put out there for everybody is I want focus on achieving your goals, but don't
Mm.
focus too hard. Try to keep there a balance. Remember that balance we're talking about there. Always keep in mind your goal, but remember you have to take steps to get there and give yourself
Mhm.
grace. Step away, understand there's no such thing as a perfect person. This
Mhm.
life did not come with handbooks. We're all doing the best we can. And there's
This
just
is
some of us who've discovered truths that we want to share with others. That's it.
Can you say that again? It's about doing the best you can. It's about
Best
doing
you
the
can.
best you can. Yeah.
Sometimes what the best you can is not the same as what I can do.
Yeah.
So do the best you can and understand and give yourself grace that it is the best this is the best. Sometimes getting not getting out of bed or getting
Mhm.
out of bed and being able to eat breakfast, taking a
Mhm.
shower. That's the best you can do. But that's a
Mhm.
positive. So
Mhm.
keep going, and reach out for help when you need it. That's it.
I love that. I love that. I am so appreciative. I'm so happy that you said yes to sharing your thoughts on happiness with me, with Wednesday and Glenda and Marvin and everybody else who's listening and who will listen. Y'all, some people talk about reincarnation, but I'm not sure. What I mean is, right? I don't know. I mean, we come by this way once. We're here already. Why not make it your absolute best?
And drag
Why?
others along with you.
And yeah, pull
Bring your
others.
tribe with you. It's so much
right?
fun to go in a. It's more fun to go in a group now, right?
Right?
Hmm.
Right? So I want to wish you all the best. Yeah. Listen again, listen once, listen twice, listen three times. Karen is talking about random acts of kindness. She is talking about doing for others as well as ourselves. Karen, you mentioned what I'm taking away from this tonight is the importance of even smiling. If I
Absolutely.
want people to smile at me, I have to be willing to smile at them
That's right.
first.
Hmm.
Mhm. I have to be willing to fill my cup first. I have to be willing to say no.
Hmm.
Ouch. I prefer it like this. This is not working for me. Yeah. I have
Hmm.
to be willing to flick on the light of my life.
Absolutely.
Learned optimism versus learned helplessness, which says, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, it's too much for me. Oh, I can't. Oh, I'm just going to give up. I don't care. You know, I can flick on the light
Flip it
myself.
upside down, and the opposite of learned helplessness is learned optimism.
Learned optimism. Okay, y'all? So, Winsty says, I really appreciate your time.
God bless.
Thank you. Wednesday. We appreciate you guys. We will see you all next Thursday. Hopefully, have a lovely rest of your week.
Bye now.
Peace.